pushed open the door to his apartment, his backpack heavy with textbooks about alien biology. The smell of something burning hit him immediately. He dropped his bag and ran to the kitchen. A tall figure stood by the stove, poking at a smoking pan with one of spatulas. The figure had blue skin that shimmered like metal, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its face, and 2 long antennae that moved like they were tasting the air. The creature wore what looked like a silver robe with glowing symbols on it. "Hello," the alien said, its voice coming from a small device on its chest. "I am your new roommate. I was attempting to prepare sustenance." Grabbed the pan and moved it off the heat. The eggs inside looked like black rocks. "You're early," he said, trying to catch his breath. "The university said you'd arrive next week." "My transport arrived ahead of schedule," replied, tilting its head in a way that made all 4 eyes blink at once. "I apologize for the combustion event. Human cooking implements are confusing." Couldn't help but smile. He had signed up for the interstellar roommate program to help with his rent, but he hadn't expected his new roommate to be so strange. Then again, this was Earth's first year joining the Galactic University network. Everything was strange now. "It's okay," said. "Let me show you how the stove works." Over the next hour, gave a tour of the apartment. The alien seemed fascinated by everything. It spent 10 minutes examining the refrigerator, trying to understand why humans needed to keep food cold. It touched the couch fabric repeatedly, its antennae vibrating. It stared at the television like it was a sacred object. "Your species surrounds itself with so many objects," observed. "Live much more simply." He asked. "My species, we come from the planet Valor in the Andromeda sector." The antennae drooped slightly. "We prefer efficiency. Humans prefer comfort." Ordered takeout for dinner since the kitchen disaster made cooking impossible. They sat at the small table, carefully examining the noodles with its long fingers. The alien had 3 fingers and a thumb on each hand, all ending in soft pads instead of nails. "These are dead plant matter mixed with processed grain," said, sniffing the food. "But you add chemical compounds for flavor. Fascinating." "We call it seasoning," explained. "It makes food taste better." "Taste," repeated the word slowly. "Absorb nutrients through our skin. The concept of taste is foreign to us." They were halfway through dinner when someone knocked on the door. Opened it to find his friend from the university. She was a cultural studies major who lived 2 floors down. Her face was glowing with excitement. "I have amazing news." She burst into the apartment, then stopped when she saw. "Oh, you got your alien roommate." This is my friend." "Greetings," said, standing up and bowing slightly. "You appear to be displaying elevated emotional energy." Laughed. "Yes, I just found out today I'm pregnant." She said it like she had won the lottery. Her hands moved to her stomach in that protective way had seen other women do. But when he looked at, the alien had frozen completely. All 4 eyes were wide open. Its antennae had gone completely still, pointing straight up. What did you say?" Translator device made a strange crackling sound. "I'm going to have a baby," repeated, beaming. "I'm 3 months along, can you believe it?" Turn 2, "What is? Pregnant? What is? Baby?" The alien's voice sounded strained, like the translator was struggling. Felt his stomach drop. In all his xenobiology classes, they had never covered alien reproduction. He had assumed it worked the same way everywhere. Apparently not. Started, not sure how to explain. "It means is going to have a child, a small human. It's growing inside her body right now." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Took a step backward, its antennae now curved down like wilted plants. Inside her body, 4 eyes moved independently, looking at different parts of. There is another being, inside her being, right now. "Yes," said, confused by the alien's reaction. "That's how humans make bobbies. Is it different for your species?" Made a sound that the translator couldn't process. It came out as static. The alien sat down heavily on the couch, its silver robe pooling around it. Reproduce through cellular division ceremonies, said slowly. The entire community gathers. We each contribute genetic material to a central pool. New grow in specialized pods that the community maintains together. No individual ever carries another being inside themselves. The alien looked up at. Is this painful? Well, giving birth hurts, admitted, but it's worth it. Giving birth stood up again. You mean the being must exit your body? How? Put his face in his hands. This was not how he expected his evening to go. However, seemed to find the whole thing hilarious. Oh my God, your roommate doesn't know how human bodies work. You have to explain this. I don't think started. Please, interrupted. Its antennae were now quivering with what had learned meant intense curiosity. I must understand this. How can a species function if half of them must carry other beings inside their bodies? How do you survive? How do you work? How do you exist? Patted on what might have been its shoulder. Oh, you sweet summer alien, humans are tougher than we look. After left, promising to return tomorrow with educational materials, sat on the couch for a long time, not moving, cleaned up the dinner dishes, giving the alien space to process whatever it was processing. Finally spoke. I came to Earth to study human culture for my thesis. I thought I understood the basics of your species, but this changes everything. How so? Asked, drying his hands. 4 eyes focused on him. If human reproduction is truly this dangerous and complex, then every human behavior I have observed must be your protectiveness, your emotional bonds, your willingness to sacrifice for others. It all makes sense now. The alien stood up. I must research this immediately. My thesis may need to be completely rewritten. Watched as disappeared into its bedroom, already pulling up holographic displays from its wrist device. He had a feeling his quiet apartment life was about to get very, very interesting. He pulled out his phone and texted, "What have you done?" She replied immediately, "This is going to be hilarious. See you tomorrow." Groaned and went to bed, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Woke up to the sound of his voice coming from the living room. It was only 6 in the morning, but the alien was already on a video call with someone, speaking in its own language. The sounds reminded of wind chimes mixed with radio static. He made coffee and found surrounded by floating holographic screens. Each one showed different diagrams and charts. Some looked like medical images. Others showed what might have been alien anatomy. The alien's antennae were moving rapidly, which had learned meant it was stressed. "Did you sleep?" asked. "Do not sleep the way humans do," replied without looking away from the screens. "We enter a rest state for 2 hours every cycle. I have already completed mine." It finally turned to face. "I have been researching human reproduction for the past 8 hours. I have more questions." "Of course you do," muttered into his coffee. Before they could continue, arrived with 3 other people. There was a short woman with bright red hair who studied cultural anthropology. Next to her was Wu's cousin who was in medical school. And behind them stood 2 more aliens had seen around campus but never met. "I brought reinforcements," announced cheerfully. "This is going to be the best show ever." "This is not entertainment," said seriously. "This is science." One of the new aliens stepped forward. It looked like a floating jellyfish made of light, with tentacles that phased in and out of visibility. "I am of the collective. I heard about your confusion regarding human reproduction. I also find it disturbing." The other alien resembled a small dragon with deep red scales and wings folded against its back. My species lays eggs. The concept of live birth is," it shuddered, "unnatural." "Looked at, you invited them." "They're in my xenobiology class," she said, sitting on the couch. "When I told them about last night, they wanted to learn too. This is like a cultural exchange." Wu pulled out his tablet. "I brought medical textbooks, And videos. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. His antennae vibrated with what might have been excitement. Excellent. I have prepared a list of questions. Question 1. How does the secondary human enter the primary human's body? Everyone stared at the alien. You mean conception? Wu asked carefully. I do not know that word, replied. Laughed so hard she had to sit down. Oh, this is going to be amazing. Took a deep breath. Okay, let me try to explain from the beginning. He activated Wu's tablet and projected a basic human anatomy diagram on the wall. The aliens gathered around like students in a classroom. Started with the simplest explanation he could think of. Humans have two biological sexes, males and females. Each has different roles in reproduction. Why, interrupted, why split the responsibility? Evolution probably looked at Wu for help. Wu stepped in. Many Earth species evolved this way. It increases genetic diversity. Two parents contribute different DNA, creating offspring with traits from both. His tentacles glowed brighter. The merge consciousness to reproduce. We combine thought patterns, not physical matter. The idea of combining physical genetic material is strange. It gets stranger, promised. Continued, explaining the basics of human reproduction as simply as he could. The aliens' reactions were immediate and intense. When he explained fertilization, his antennae tied themselves in knots. The cells merge inside the female's body without her conscious control. Yes, confirmed. This is parasitism, stood up abruptly. By definition, one organism living inside another is parasitism. It's not a parasite, Wu said calmly. It's her offspring, her own DNA. But it takes her nutrients, it changes her body, it can even cause harm, was packing now. How is this not parasitism? Jumped in, because she chooses it, and because humans evolved to do this. Our bodies are designed for it. Designed for danger, muttered. The dragon alien's wings fluttered nervously. I lay eggs outside my body. They're protected in a nest. Safe. Why would any species evolve to keep their offspring inside where they're vulnerable? Protection, said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She had her hands on her stomach again. The baby is safest inside the mother, protected from predators, from weather, from everything. It's warm and fed and safe. But you are not safe, pointed out. You are carrying extra weight. Your mobility is reduced. Your body changes shape. You experience illness. And at the end, you must undergo extreme pain to expel the offspring. How is this logical? Smiled. It's not about logic. It's about love. The aliens looked confused. Tentacles flickered. Love is an emotion. Emotions do not change biological facts. For humans, they do, said. That's what makes us different. Wu pulled up a video of an actual birth. Fair warning, he said. This might be intense. It was intense. Watched with all four eyes locked on the screen, motionless. Scales changed color from red to pale pink. Light dimmed to almost nothing. When the baby finally emerged and cried for the first time, made that untranslatable sound again. She is in pain, the whispered. So much pain, why is she smiling? On the screen, the exhausted mother was crying and smiling at the same time, holding her newborn baby against her chest. Because it's her baby, said softly. She spent 9 months growing that little person. Now she gets to meet them. 9 months, voice was faint. The gestation period is 9 months. Yes, confirmed. And during that time the female human is vulnerable, in danger, at risk. Yes. And she does this willingly, knowing the risks. Yes. Sat down slowly. I do not understand. Reproduction is efficient, safe. No individual is ever at risk. We share the burden as a community, but humans, you put one person at risk to create new life. Why? Wu closed his tablet. Because that one person creates a bond with the baby that nothing else can match. 9 months of connection, of growing together. By the time the baby is born, they're already loved. I am trying to process this, said. Its antennae were drooping. In my species, we value efficiency and logic above all else, but human reproduction is neither efficient nor logical. It is dangerous and painful and costly. Yet you do it anyway. You choose it, some of you even. The alien looked at. You are happy about this. I'm thrilled, said beaming. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Even knowing the risks, the pain, the permanent changes to your body. Even knowing all of that. Stood and walked to the window looking out at the city. When I came to Earth, I thought humans were reckless, emotional, illogical. Now I am beginning to think that maybe there is a different kind of logic, one my species does not possess. Spread its wings slightly. I must admit I am impressed, frightened but impressed. Humans are braver than I realized. Its tentacles began glowing again, or crazier. Maybe both, laughed. Turned back to the group. I need to speak with more species. I need to understand how common this is in the galaxy. If humans are unique in this method of reproduction, it may explain many things about your species' behavior. Like what? Asked. Like why humans are so protective, why you form such strong family bonds, why you fight so hard to protect your young. His 4 eyes seemed to glow with realization. If every human spent 9 months as a tactical weakness in another human's body, and if every human mother risked everything to bring that life into existence, then every human is taught from before birth that they are worth dying for. The room went quiet. That's beautiful, whispered. That's terrifying, corrected. That's humanity, Wu said with a smile. Nodded slowly. Yes, I'm beginning to understand. This changes everything. Over the next week, became obsessed. The alien spent every free moment researching human reproduction and comparing it to other species in the galaxy. Barely saw his roommate except when emerged from its room to ask strange questions. Do humans feel attachment to their offspring before birth? Asked one morning while was brushing his teeth. Yes, said around his toothbrush. Fascinating. Made notes on its wrist device and disappeared again. The next day, can human males sense when their mate is pregnant? Not physically, no, but they can usually tell from behavior changes. Incredible, more notes, more disappearing. Finally, decided to join in its research. He found the alien in the university library, surrounded by holographic displays showing dozens of different alien species. Was interviewing a synthetic named Unit 7, a robot-like being made of liquid metal. So your species does not reproduce biologically at all, was asking. Correct, Unit 7 replied in a perfectly flat voice. We are constructed. New synthetics are built by existing synthetics. We find biological reproduction to be messy. But you have studied human reproduction. Yes, we find it adorably inefficient. Unit 7's face shifted into what might have been a smile. But we must admit, the emotional bonding it creates is remarkable. We synthetics struggle to form attachments. Humans form them automatically through biology. After Unit 7 left, sat down next to. Are you okay? You've been acting strange all week. I am attempting to understand something important, said. Its antennae drooped tiredly. Every species I interview has a different reproduction method, but they all say the same thing about humans. Your method is dangerous, but it creates something no other species has. What's that? Unbreakable bonds. Before could respond, a large shadow fell over them. A draconian elder named landed nearby, folding its massive wings. Was nearly 3 meters tall, covered in deep purple scales, with eyes that glowed like embers. I heard you are researching reproduction, said in a deep voice. I have come to share wisdom. Immediately straightened up. Please, Elder, I would be honored to learn from you. Settled down, its tail curling around its body. My species lays eggs, large eggs in carefully prepared nests. We guard these nests with our lives, but The elder paused. The eggs are outside our bodies. We can leave them if necessary. We can abandon them if threatened. We love our children, but the separation exists from the moment we lay the egg. Humans have no such separation, observed. Exactly. His eyes glowed brighter. I have worked with humans for 30 years. I have watched human mothers with their children. The bond is different, stronger. It begins before birth. The child knows its mother's heartbeat before it knows anything else. The mother knows the child's movements before anyone else can feel them. By the time the child is born, they have already shared 9 months of life. Is this good or bad? Asked. Laughed a sound like stones rumbling. Young one, it is both. It makes humans vulnerable, but it also makes them fierce. I once saw a human mother lift a vehicle off her child. The child was trapped under metal that should have been impossible for her to move, but she moved it anyway. Adrenaline, the doctors said. I say it was love born from 9 months of shared existence. His antennae vibrated rapidly. So human reproduction creates both weakness and strength. All reproduction does, replied. But human reproduction maximizes both. The weakness is extreme. The strength that comes from it is equally extreme. After left and sat in silence for a while, then spoke quietly. I need to ask you something personal, may I? Sure. Do you know your mother? Yes, she lives in. I talk to her every week. Do you love her? Felt his throat tighten. Of course she's my mother. Why? The question was so simple but so complex. Thought about it. Because she carried me for 9 months. Because she went through pain to bring me into the world. Because she took care of me when I was helpless. Because she taught me everything I know. Because she's always been there. He looked at. Because she's my mom. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Every human has this bond. Every single human was once inside another human. Every human is born from pain and sacrifice. This is why humans are the way they are. What do you mean? Humans protect each other because you all understand what it means to be protected. You fight for your loved ones because someone once risked everything for you. You form communities because you are taught from before birth that you are part of something larger than yourself. Stood up. I must speak with, told me about her. The human doctor who helps deliver Bobbies. They found at the university hospital. She was a small woman with kind eyes and hands that moved with confident precision. When explained its research, she invited them to her office. You want to understand why human reproduction makes us who we are? Asked, pouring tea. Yes, said. I have interviewed many species, but I need to understand from someone who witnesses human birth regularly. Sipped her tea slowly. I've been a doctor for 15 years. I've delivered over 500 Bobbies, and I can tell you this, birth never gets old. Every single time it's a miracle. Even though it causes pain? Asked. Because it causes pain, corrected. Pain that creates life. Pain that mothers willingly accept. I've seen mothers who almost died in childbirth, and when I ask them if they would do it again, they always say yes. This is irrational. Is it? Set down her tea. Think about what humans are willing to die for. Our families, our children, our loved ones. Why? Because we understand on a deep level that life is precious. And we understand that because our mothers went through hell to give us life. She pulled up images on her computer. Pictures of newborn Bobbies with their mothers. In every picture, despite the exhaustion and pain visible on the mothers' faces, they were smiling. This is what makes humans special, said. We don't just create life, we sacrifice for it, we suffer for it, we nearly die for it, and then we do it again, because the life we create is worth everything. Stared at the images for a long time. I am beginning to understand why the galaxy fears humans. Fears us, was surprised. Yes, because a species that willingly undergoes such danger to create life will do anything to protect that life. Humans are not aggressive because you are violent. You are aggressive because you understand the cost of life. You will not allow that cost to be wasted. Nodded slowly. When I negotiate with other species at medical conferences, they always seem surprised by how firm human doctors are about patient safety. Now I understand why. We're protecting life that we know is precious because we know what it costs to create. Turn 2. I need to completely revise my thesis. I thought I was studying human reproduction, but I am actually studying the source of human strength. Every other species in the galaxy reproduces safely, efficiently, or with minimal risk. Only humans have made reproduction itself an act of heroism. We don't see it as heroism, said, it's just normal. That, replied, is exactly what makes it heroic. You accept this danger so completely that you see it as normal. You have normalized sacrifice. No wonder the Galactic Council finds humans unsettling. Laughed. We're not trying to be unsettling. We're just trying to survive and raise our kids. And that is precisely what makes you formidable, said. A species that treats survival as the baseline and raises children as the highest purpose will always be willing to fight harder than species who see reproduction as a simple task. As they left the hospital, noticed antennae were standing straight up. He had learned this meant the alien was excited. What are you thinking? Asked. I am thinking that I came to Earth to study human culture, but I have discovered something far more important. I have discovered why humans are the way you are, and I must share this with the galaxy. Will they believe you? His 4 eyes focused on him. They must, because understanding human reproduction means understanding humanity, and the galaxy needs to understand you before they misjudge you completely. They walked back to the apartment in silence, both thinking about the same thing. How something as simple as how a species creates life could explain everything about how that species lives. Worked nonstop for the next 2 weeks. The apartment became covered in holographic notes, diagrams, and research data. Had never seen anyone, human or alien, work so intensely. The barely entered its rest state, surviving on some kind of energy supplement that made its skin glow brighter. You need to slow down, said one evening, finding surrounded by 15 floating screens. I cannot, replied without looking up. What I have discovered is too important. The galaxy misunderstands humans. They see your protectiveness as aggression, your fierce loyalty as instability, but it all comes from this. The alien gestured at the screens showing human reproduction cycles. This is the key to everything. Finally completed a preliminary report. It was sent to Professor, the alien's academic advisor on the. Within hours, something unexpected happened. Came home to find standing motionless in the living room, all 4 eyes wide open. What's wrong? Asked alarmed. My preliminary findings. They were shared with the Galactic Academic Network. His voice sounded strange. They have gone viral. Viral, what does that mean? Pulled up a holographic display. It showed thousands of messages, comments, and responses from beings across the galaxy. Some were fascinated. Others were disgusted. Many were debating intensely. A message from a researcher read, if this is accurate, it explains 3 centuries of human diplomatic behavior. A draconian scientist wrote, this reproduction method is barbaric, but I must admit it creates remarkable loyalty. A synthetic philosopher commented, humans have weaponized their own biology to create emotional bonds, fascinating and disturbing. But the most intense reactions came from the High Council. A formal message appeared on the screen, and antennae drooped so low they touched the floor. They are demanding a formal investigation, whispered. They want to know if human reproduction truly explains human behavior in galactic politics. If it does, they want to reconsider all human treaties and agreements. Is that good or bad? Asked. I do not know, but they want a full report within 1 month. Turn 2. I need more data. I need to witness human birth myself. Watching videos is not enough. I must see it, feel it, understand it completely. As if the universe was listening's phone rang. It was. It's happening. Her voice was tight with pain and excitement. The baby is coming early. I'm at the hospital. Can you come? Looked at, want to get that data. They arrived at the hospital 20 minutes later. Met them in the hallway, already in her medical uniform. She's in labor, explained quickly. It's progressing fast. She asked for you both to be there if you're comfortable with it. I am here to observe, said formally, for science. Smiled, sure, for science. They entered the delivery room, was on the bed, breathing hard. Her face was red and covered in sweat. A human nurse was checking monitors while another prepared equipment. The room smelled like antiseptic and something else couldn't identify. You came, gasped between contractions. I wanted you to see this, real human reproduction, not just videos. I am honored, said quietly, but are you certain you are in pain? Of course I'm in pain, laughed, then groaned as another contraction hit. But this is the good kind, the kind that means something. Watched carefully. The alien's antennae were vibrating rapidly, all four eyes fixed on. When examined and announced she was fully dilated, stepped back. What does that mean? The alien asked. It means it's time, said calmly. When the next contraction comes, I need you to push. What happened next would stay with forever. His face twisted in pain and effort. She screamed. The monitors beeped faster. The nurses moved with practiced efficiency. His voice stayed calm and encouraging. You're doing great, I can see the head. One more push. Made a sound that the translator couldn't handle. It came out as white noise. The alien's antennae had tied themselves in knots again. She is going to die, whispered two. How can she survive this? Watch, whispered back. With one final push and a scream that seemed to come from the deepest part of soul, the baby emerged. For one terrible second the room was silent. Then the baby cried. It was the most beautiful sound it ever heard. Moved quickly, clearing the baby's airways, checking vitals and then carefully placing the tiny, screaming infant on its chest. The baby was red and wrinkled and covered in fluids. It was perfect. Was crying, not from pain anymore, but from joy. Her hands, which had been gripping the bed rails hard enough to leave marks, now gently cradled the baby against her skin. Hi, Jin, she whispered. I'm your mom. I've been waiting to meet you. The baby's crying softened. It turned its head towards Voice, already recognizing her, already bonding. Looked at, the alien had gone completely still. All four eyes were leaking some kind of clear fluid. Realized with shock that was crying. Are you okay? Asked quietly. Translator struggled. I do not have words, that was. I watched her nearly break. I watched her in agony and then she smiled, said, finishing the thought. She was standing next to them, also watching with her newborn. That's what makes us human. We turn suffering into love. Approached the bed slowly. Looked up, her face exhausted but glowing. Do you want to meet him? She asked. May I? His voice was barely a whisper. Nodded, reached out with one long finger and gently touched the baby's tiny hand. Jin's fingers curled around his finger instinctively. The alien's antennae stood straight up. He is so small, said. So fragile. And you spent 9 months protecting him inside your body. You just went through agony to bring him into existence. And now you will spend years protecting him, teaching him, loving him. That's the plan, said with a tired laugh. This is heroic, said firmly. The translator worked perfectly now. This is the most heroic thing I have ever witnessed. You humans call this normal. You call this natural. But there is nothing normal about willing sacrifice. There is nothing natural about choosing pain to create joy. We don't really think about it that way, admitted. We just do it because we want to, because we love our bobbies before they're even born. Turn to, then to. I understand now. I understand everything. When humans say we protect our own, you are not making a threat. You are making a promise. A promise that every human understands because every human was once the one being protected. Before you could even breathe, someone else was breathing for you. Before you could eat, someone else was feeding you from their own body. Before you could think, someone else was thinking about you. Nodded, every human alive is proof that someone else thought they were worth the pain. And that, said, its voice filled with wonder, is why humans will fight to the death for those they love. Not because you are violent, but because you understand that life is created through sacrifice, and you will not let that sacrifice be meaningless. Jin made a small sound, a tiny cry that immediately brought attention back to him. She adjusted his position, checked his breathing, made sure he was comfortable. All instinctive, all automatic, all driven by 9 months of connection and a few minutes of pain that had created a lifetime of love. I need to write my full report immediately, said. The galaxy must understand this. They must see what I have seen. They must know that human protectiveness is not aggression. It is love. Love born from the most dangerous and beautiful act in the universe. As they left the hospital that night, looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, billions of beings from thousands of species were living their lives. Most of them would never understand what they had just witnessed, but thanks to, maybe some of them would. Thank you for bringing me here, said quietly. I came to Earth thinking I would write a thesis about human culture. Instead, I witnessed the source of human strength. I will make sure the galaxy understands. Do you think they will? Asked. His antennae curved upward in what had learned was the version of a smile. They must, because if they do not understand this, they will never understand humanity. And the galaxy needs to understand you. You are too important to be misunderstood. Did not leave the apartment for 3 days. The alien worked without stopping, only entering rest state when its body forced it to. Brought food and made sure stayed hydrated with the special liquid the needed. He watched as his roommate poured everything into the thesis. On the 3rd day, finally emerged from its room. The alien skin had lost some of its shimmer from exhaustion, but its antennae were standing tall and proud. It is finished, announced. My thesis is complete. Read the title on the holographic screen. Human Reproductive Biology and the Evolution of Protective Aggression. Why Earth's Dominant Species Will Risk Everything for Family. That's a long title, observed. It is an important topic, replied. It requires a comprehensive title. The thesis was 300 pages long. It detailed human reproduction from a biological, psychological, and sociological perspective. But more than that, it compared human reproduction to 47 other known intelligent species in the galaxy. The conclusion was simple but powerful. Humans were the only species that combined maximum reproductive vulnerability with maximum protective response. Submitted the thesis to the Galactic Academic Network at midnight. By morning, everything changed. Woke to find standing by the window, watching the sunrise. The alien's device was buzzing non-stop with incoming messages. What's happening? Asked, rubbing his eyes. My thesis has been read by the Galactic Council, said quietly. They are responding. Is that good? I do not know yet. Over breakfast, they watched as the thesis spread across the galaxy. News programs on 12 different worlds were discussing it. Academic journals were requesting interviews. The Galactic Council had called an emergency session to discuss the implications. Some reactions were positive. A philosopher published a response titled, Finally, we understand human stubbornness. A draconian military commander wrote, This explains why human soldiers fight differently. They protect their units like mothers protect children. But there was also resistance. A traditionalist called the thesis an attempt to romanticize inefficient biology. A synthetic collective dismissed it as emotional reasoning masquerading as science. The real change came 3 days later. Received a message marked with the highest priority seal. It was from the Galactic Council itself. They want me to present my findings in person, said, its antennae shaking. At the Central Council chambers, representatives from 200 species will be there. That's incredible, said. You're going to be famous. I am terrified, admitted. What if I fail to make them understand? The presentation was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Spent every day preparing, practicing the speech, refining the arguments. And Wu all helped, offering suggestions and support. The day before was supposed to leave for the council chambers, visited with baby Jin. The infant was 2 weeks old now, still tiny and fragile but already more alert. His eyes followed movement, and he made small sounds that weren't quite crying. I wanted you to see him again before you leave, said Tu. You witnessed his birth. You should see what he becomes. Approached carefully and looked down at Jin. The baby stared up at the alien with wide eyes. Then, impossibly, Jin smiled. It was probably just gas, but it looked like a real smile. He has grown, observed. He is stronger. And he'll keep growing, said. He'll learn to roll over, then crawl, then walk. He'll say his first word, take his first step, go to school, make friends, fall in love, maybe have his own children someday. All because I spent 9 months carrying him and a few hours bringing him into the world. Does it seem worth it? Asked. The pain, the danger, the difficulty. Looked down at her son. Every second of it, I'd do it 1,000 times over. His antennae curved in that smile shape now recognized. I will tell the council about this moment, about how a human mother looks at her child. They need to see what I see. The next day, left for the Galactic Council chambers. Wu, and gathered at the apartment to watch the live broadcast. The council chambers were enormous, a circular room with seats for representatives from every major species in the galaxy. Looked tiny standing in the center, a single surrounded by hundreds of alien beings. I came to Earth to study human culture, began, its translator broadcasting to every species in their own language. What I discovered changed my understanding of everything. For the next hour, presented the thesis. It showed diagrams of human reproduction compared to other species. It shared data on human protective behavior. It explained the connection between biological vulnerability and emotional bonding. But what made the presentation powerful were the stories. Told them about's pregnancy, about the birth of Jin, about's work delivering babies, about the human mothers who risked everything for their children. Human reproduction is not efficient, said. It is not safe. It is not logical by standards or by the standards of most species in this chamber. But it creates something that no efficient system can create, absolute devotion. A representative interrupted. You claim that human reproduction explains human aggression in politics. How? Because humans understand cost, replied. Every human alive costs someone 9 months of discomfort, hours of pain, and years of sacrifice. Humans do not take life lightly because they know what it costs to create life. When humans defend their territories, their families, their allies, they are not being aggressive. They are honoring the sacrifice that created them. A draconian commander stood. I have fought alongside humans in 3 conflicts. They are fierce warriors. You are saying this comes from their mothers. From their mothers, their fathers, their families. From everyone who ever sacrificed for them. Humans are fierce because they were taught from before birth that they are worth fighting for, and so they fight for others with the same intensity. The questions continued for another hour. Some were hostile, some were curious, but slowly could see the mood in the chamber changing. The representatives were beginning to understand. Finally, the Galactic Council chair spoke. It was an ancient being from a species didn't recognize, with a voice like deep water. Young, your thesis presents a controversial argument, but it is supported by strong evidence. The Council will take your findings under advisement. Your work may change how we interact with humanity. The broadcast ended. The apartment erupted in cheers. They listened, shouted. They actually listened. Of course they listened, Wu said proudly. Gave them something they couldn't ignore, the truth. When returned to Earth 3 days later, it was to incredible news. The thesis had won the prestigious Galactic Anthropology Prize. More importantly, the Galactic Council had issued a formal statement recognizing that human protective behavior was rooted in biological and cultural factors related to reproduction, not inherent aggression. Trade agreements were being renegotiated with this new understanding. Diplomatic protocols were being adjusted. Some species that had viewed humans with suspicion were now reaching out in friendship, wanting to understand more about human families and child-rearing. But the best moment came when walked into the apartment and found everyone waiting, with Jin, Wu, and even some of the alien students they had met along the way. "Congratulations," they shouted together. Antennae drooped with emotion. "I could not have done this without all of you. You taught me what it means to be human. You showed me the beauty in your biology." Stepped forward and carefully placed Jin in his arms. The alien froze, holding the baby with extreme care. "You're part of our family now," said. "You help bring understanding between species. That makes you Jin's honorary alien uncle." Jin looked up at and made a small cooing sound. The baby's tiny hand reached up and grabbed one of his antennae. Instead of pulling away, stood very still, letting the infant explore. "I came to Earth thinking humans were strange," said softly. "Emotional, illogical, dangerous. Now I know the truth. Humans are not strange. Humans are the bravest species I have ever encountered, because every single one of you is the result of someone else's courage." "That's beautiful," said, wiping her eyes. "It is truth," replied. "The galaxy feared humans because they did not understand you. Now they are beginning to understand. You are not aggressive. You are protective. You do not seek conflict. You seek to defend what you love, and you love fiercely because you were loved fiercely first." Put his hand on shoulder. "You did this. You helped the galaxy understand us." "No," said, looking around at everyone gathered. "We did this, all of us. Every conversation, every explanation, every moment of patience you showed me. This is our achievement." Jin made another sound, and everyone laughed. The baby didn't know it, but he had been part of something important. His birth had helped change galactic politics. His existence had proven his thesis. His tiny life had shown the galaxy what human love looked like. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, sat with on the couch. The alien was holding a small holographic display showing the final dedication page of its thesis. "I want to show you something," said. Read the dedication. "To and baby Jin, who taught me that the most illogical beings in the galaxy might also be the most extraordinary. To who showed me that creating life is heroic. To Wu and who helped bridge worlds. And to all human mothers past and present who risked everything so the rest of us could exist. You are the real heroes of the galaxy." Felt his throat tighten. "This is true," the alien interrupted. "It is simply true. I came to Earth as a student. I leave as someone who has learned the most important lesson of all, that love, not logic, is what makes a species truly advanced." They sat in comfortable silence, two beings from different worlds who had become family through understanding. Outside, the stars shone down on Earth, and somewhere among those stars, billions of beings were reading about humans with new eyes. Understanding, thought, was the first step to peace, and had given the galaxy the understanding it needed. "Thank you for being my roommate," said. His antennae curved upward. "Thank you for teaching me what it means to be human. Even though I am not human, I now carry that lesson with me. I understand why you protect, why you love, why you fight." "Because we were worth dying for," said, repeating words from weeks ago. "And worth living for," added, "always worth living for." In the distance, a baby cried. Not Jin, but some other human infant in the building. Some other small life that had been brought into existence through courage and love. some other miracle that the galaxy was just beginning to understand, and smiled, knowing that it had helped the galaxy see what it had taken the alien weeks to learn, that humans were not to be feared. They were to be admired, because in the entire known universe, only humans had turned their greatest vulnerability into their greatest strength. Only humans had made love a biological imperative. The thesis was complete. The galaxy was listening, and somewhere in apartments and homes across Earth, human parents were doing what they had always done: protecting, teaching, loving, and creating the next generation of extraordinary beings. This was humanity, and finally the galaxy understood.